Hello my fellow YouTubians, this is a prize video for Guy29229 who entered my pre-Christmas guessing game contest and won. He was the only person actually to get a perfect score. I initially in my previous video said that there were two winners, the other whom is Mariluhu Blog. But she wrote me back and said, actually I missed one, I miscalculated. So I was like, oh, I'm really sorry about that. Can I make you a video anyway? And she's like, no, that's okay. Well, Mary, my offer still stands. Anytime you want a special video, please just drop me a line and let me know. I'd be more than happy to do it. Guy wanted to know a little bit about some of my favorite foreign language movies. And I don't get to see foreign language movies that much. They're available to me. There are many theaters here in Chicago that have foreign language films playing, pretty much round the year. Year round. But since I skip a whole bunch of English language movies that are more well publicized, I end up skipping a lot of foreign language movies as well. I do see them on occasion. I think probably the last one I went to see, I can't even remember what the last one I went to see. I think it was called Tell No One. I don't even remember what country it's from, but that was last year. It was, I don't think I've seen anything recently. But I have, of course, seen a number of foreign language movies over the years, and some of them are quite good. The first one I want to talk about is this one right here. The English translation for this title is The Host, and this film is from South Korea. It is a monster movie, basically, about chemically created creature that leaps out of the water on a fishing an area of South Korea has a lot of fishermen around and starts running around all over the place, attacking people, kidnapping them, and that kind of thing. And it's up to a small number of people who are sort of a little family to bring it down and rescue whoever might be kidnapped. This is a lot of fun, really fun movie. I'm not really sure about some of these pronunciations here. That's why I've written them down so you can take a look at them. But the English language title is The Host. There's a movie I saw in the theater a couple years ago called Persepolis, and I talked about this actually in a previous theater. It's from Iran, but the dialogue is actually in French. It is an animated movie, and it is actually directed by the person who wrote and illustrated the graphic novel upon which it's based. Her name is Marjane Satrapi, and she was a young girl, a teenager living in Iran who wasn't really fond of the oppressive ways in which they make women dress and behave. So she was shipped off to France, but she didn't really feel like she was at home there either, and so she's sort of like a person without a country. Anyway, this is a terrific movie, and like I said, it's animated, but it's a very personal story. Then we have a movie that probably a lot of you are familiar with. I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but the English language title is, of course, Run, Lola Run, and this is from Germany. It is the first film that came to my attention by Twyker, who went on to do Perfume and The International with Clive Owen, a few different films. This is one of those movies where it starts over in the middle, something like that. I'm not really sure how to describe it. Basically, the main character is a girl whose boyfriend lost a bunch of money that he needs to get to one of the local crime thugs, and so she has only just a short amount of time to run around town and see if she can find someone or some way of getting a bag full of cash so her boyfriend won't get his head caved in by this vicious guy. This is a lot of fun, and it's pretty action-packed for the most part. It's a pretty mainstream, enjoyable movie from a foreign country, which is less than usual, I suppose. This movie right here I only just saw earlier this year. It's from Romania. The English language version is 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days, and it's a movie about a woman who's helping her friend get an abortion, which is illegal. They have to sort of sneak away and do everything sort of under the radar. They have to find a guy who's willing to do it for a reasonable price. It's directed by Christian Mungiu. I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong, but a lot of the scenes are done with just single takes, single unbroken shots, which is quite a feat a lot of the time to get a whole take without any mistakes like that. So this is a very interesting movie, and like I said, I only just saw it recently. Now a lot of you are probably familiar with this one. The title I gotta say, looks something like Lat den Ratte, Komma in or something like that. I don't know the pronunciation. It's from Norway, and of course the title translates as Let the Right One In, which is of course the movie about the child vampire and the young friend that she makes one winter in Norway. And it's been remade as Let Me In with the girl from the hit girl from Kick-Ass and Elias Koteas. I didn't see it. Really, I didn't feel it was necessary. This is an excellent movie, really exciting. And I'm sure many of you are already familiar with that one. Now, this is an interesting movie. This was done in the early 70s. It's by one of those classic Italian horror directors. There are a few guys like Dario Argento and Mario Bava who are very, very well known for their horror movies out of Italy. This one is directed by a man named Lucio Fulci, and its title translates as Don't Torture a Duckling. And it's about a community, a rural community, sort of way out in the far reaches of Italy, in this isolated community. And there's a child murder running around. It's a very, very disturbing and stylistically extreme movie. A friend of mine actually got me into watching these when he was preparing to do a short movie that I was supposed to be in. That I eventually played the villain in, but he was sort of inspired by Italian gore films, and the more extreme, the bloodier, and the crazier the kills, the better. And this is a crazy one. The motivation for the killer, when it's finally revealed, is extremely twisted. Non si Sevizia on Paperino. Anyway, it's called Don't Torture a Duckling. That's the English language title, and it's by Mario Bava. Not Mario Bava. Lucio Fulci. Lucio Fulci is a classic. Abre los Ojos, I think I pronounced that right. This is from Spain, and this is by Alejandro Amenabar, and it was actually remade into a 2001 movie starring Tom Cruise called Vanilla Sky, but I prefer the original. This is about a guy who is sort of bouncing between two women, one of whom he sort of sees on occasion very casually, the other of whom he's just met and wants like something more serious, and then he gets in a car accident, his face is disfigured. He's very wealthy, but no matter how much money he throws at the problem, the doctors aren't able to fix his face. And he comes across a rather unusual and kind of science fiction-like solution. I enjoyed this movie a heck of a lot. It came on like at 1 o'clock in the morning after I'd been out like drinking at a bar with friends. And despite the fact that I was close to falling asleep, because of all the drinking I've been doing, I still could not take my eyes off this movie. It was so riveting, and I stuck with it till the very end. So yeah, that's a really good one. The director went on to do the others with Nicole Kidman, and a couple other movies since then, I'm sure, but I don't recall which ones they are. This is a classic of mine from the mid-90s. La Cite des Enfants Perdus. I took a little French, so I think I've got that pronunciation right. It is from France, and it is directed by Marc, Caro, and Jean-Pierre Jeunet. Mr. Jeunet went on to do Amelie and A Very Long Engagement. That's right. And, of course, Alien Resurrection. And the title translates as The City of Lost Children, which is about, again, kids in danger. They get kidnapped by this strange, freaky guy who wants to steal their dreams because he can't dream, and he has all kinds of weird siblings, some of whom are clones, some of whom is basically just a brain in a vat of chemicals. And the main character is played by Ron Perlman, who was also one of the leads in Alien Resurrection, and he is basically just, he's sort of recruited by a young girl who's about 10 years old or so, 9 or 10 years old, to find her younger brother who's been kidnapped by this monstrous person. The imagery in this movie is fantastic. It's really, really surreal. Jeunet, of course, is known for this. He did Delicatessen. He did a movie recently called Micmacs. Yeah, it's all very cool. Plus, the score is amazing. The score is by Angelo Badalamenti, who also scored a lot of David Lynch films and did the themes for the TV series Twin Peaks. So that's a very, very enjoyable film. Here is a personal favorite of mine. I'm not going to pronounce the title because I know I'm doing it wrong. V was making fun of me for throwing French pronunciation into this title earlier, but the title translates as And Your Mother Too. It is one of my 10 favorite movies of the last decade, and it's from Mexico. It is by Alfonso Cuaron, who did Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Yeah, that's right. And of course, Children of Men. And this is a road trip movie about a couple young guys who have an older woman come along with them on a road trip to this sort of isolated and paradise-like beach Terrific movie, and stylistically really amazing. The director kind of reinvented himself with this movie. I originally pronounced this as Y tu mamá tambien, but I'll just call it the Mama movie because I don't know how this last word right here is pronounced. But basically it's called And Your Mother Too. That's what it's commonly known as. Now this one is going to be really difficult for me to pronounce. It was difficult enough for me just to write down. I freeze framed the video so I could try and copy this as best as I could. I don't have the proper pens to replicate the script. But it's from Hong Kong and is known in English-speaking countries around the world simply as The Killer. And this is the very first John Woo movie I ever saw. John Woo, when he came to America, he did movies like Broken Arrow, Face Off, Mission Impossible 2, and other crappy American movies. And this is the movie that got him the attention that he needed in the United States in order to be seduced into coming to Hollywood in the first place. A lot of people think that Hard Boiled is his best movie, but I personally prefer The Killer. Chow Yun-fat, who of course is one of the stars of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, kind of got made by John Woo. He is the hitman who accidentally blinds a singer during one of his jobs, assassinating someone, and so he is trying to gather enough money on his next job for eye replacements, replacement eyes, eye surgery, eye transplant, something like that. Meanwhile, he's being tracked by a cop. Now, the one thing that's common about a lot of John Woo movies is that two people are opposed to each other, eventually sort of work together on the same side to take down the big gangster who's got hundreds of minions running around trying to kill them off. If I can find a link on YouTube to the trailer, the original trailer for this movie, it's fantastic. Just loads of guys getting gunned down from beginning to end, and it's all set to classical music. Handel, I think, a terrific movie. This came out in 1991. Right after I graduated high school, or very, very near to that. We were all going to a special theater in downtown Chicago, though we lived in the suburbs, to catch all these really cool movies. And this is one we were really, really, really excited to see because it was so action-packed. And we were not disappointed. It's an outrageous movie and really, really lots of fun, and miles better than pretty much anything that Woo ever did in America, including Face Off, which is actually a really decent movie. So, yes, again, that's called The Killer. So there are a few recommendations. There's others, of course, that I've seen, but those are the ones that I probably would recommend most wholeheartedly. So there you go, Cola Guy, Mr. Cola Guy. Thanks very much for asking me to do this. It's a pleasure to talk about that kind of stuff. I hope the rest of you enjoy that, and take it easy. See ya.